What do you do if you have built resentment against your husband and the same mistakes, either like they keep coming up and the baggage of resentment is bigger and bigger and bigger, and the hurt is bigger and bigger every time? Like it's a small thing if you look at it into your daily life, like he doesn't pick up his clothes, or if he does the laundry, he doesn't do it well. Like it's small things that apparently are like so unimportant, but for you they are important because you have built resentment. And in your discussions, things from the past come up, like if he doesn't help you or support you, or he's not like next to you or understanding you, in your discussions or fights, it will sound like, you always abandon me, you never support me, you never listen to me, you never understand to me, you always do this when you leave things to me, when you leave the kids on me and you go outside and you just mind your own business and bike and you don't think about me. You always do this or you never do this. It feels very charged, right? Like it's a baggage of emotions and hurt. If you would look at it from the outside, it's not a big deal. If I would erase your memory, right? And you would have no memory of every time that happened in the past. And it would happen for the first time today, or at least for you, it would be for the first time because you have no memory. You wouldn't be triggered, you wouldn't feel hurt, right? So it's the same event, the husband doing or not doing something, and you wouldn't feel hurt because your mind wouldn't have this like baggage. He always does this, he never does this, like every time. And you just remember, like every time he does this, like he's not supportive. Or 10 years ago, he didn't stand up, like with my mother, with my mother-in-law, he didn't stand up for me, or he abandoned me and he just left me alone on my birthday. So like it's a baggage, right? So what do you do to clear this baggage? Like, of course, like if you have a baggage of dirt, of things that are not helpful and not pleasant, you want to get rid of it. Like you want to clear it, right? So the one essential thing to do is the most logical, but nobody does it. So you have resentment, you clear it, right? Like you have a pile of dirt, you clear it, like you um, take it out, like, hello, bye bye. I don't want this kind of baggage. I put only like the nice baggage, maybe, or the nice memories. Yes, you don't want to be naive. Yes, like there are past mistakes, but if you clear the resentment around them, you wouldn't feel triggered, you wouldn't feel hurt, like you wouldn't feel anything. So in this video, I'm going to give you a great mindset shift, like just a mindset shift, just a thought, a belief that you can reflect on and it can change everything. An immediate strategy that you can do right now, right today, right? Like you can stop the video and do it with me. And a longer, like a long-term, maybe more powerful one, but that needs to be like, I have to do it with you in a one-on-one session. It could take anywhere between 1 or 2.5 hours. And that is something that I do in private. I will tell you about it. So um, one big mindset shift is, just think about it, because we are trying to be perfect, right? Like most of us are perfectionists, people pleasers, and we want to be like the heroes of the home and do everything perfectly, mothering perfectly. The house is like perfect, like everything. We try to make everything perfect. We try to be very good human beings and not make mistakes, right? And when we do make mistakes, we're very critical with ourselves and it hurts a lot. So of course, when somebody else makes a mistake, we're going to be critical with them because I'm trying to be perfect. Why aren't you trying? I'm doing everything and everything is on me. Why aren't you doing it? Of course, if I'm expecting perfection from me, and if I am very critical with myself for my mistakes, of course, I'm not going to give anyone grace for their mistakes. And of course, I'm going to expect them to be perfect. And the more you expect somebody to be perfect and be critical of their mistakes, the more that person will shut down, will build a wall against you, because these things are very unpleasant. The expectations, like to be perfect, not make mistakes, it's not human, right? It's not possible. and the person builds a wall against you, and they not only they will keep doing the same mistakes, right, like just kind of to protect their dignity and independence, but you ruin the intimacy, the emotional intimacy with that person, and finally even physical intimacy, right, like with a lot of criticism and a lot of control. Emotional intimacy is killed, and then physical intimacy, like these are the stages how it goes in relationships. So the mindset shift is, I am human. He is human. Humans make mistakes. Humans, not only that they make mistakes, they are allowed. People are allowed to make mistakes. They have the right. We are not God or the police, and not even God and not even the police expect people to be perfect and not to make mistakes. So a human will always make mistakes. Like the best person in the world that you can think of, um, the person who gives the most to charity, who is kind, Mother Teresa like, will make mistakes, will raise our voice sometimes, will not be available or not that kind sometimes. So if you understand this, like the resentment won't build so easily, right? And the hurt won't be so big. So see this. You are allowed to make mistakes. You don't have to be perfect. So it starts with you. I'm human. I'm allowed to make mistakes. I have the right to make mistakes. It's okay if I make mistakes. Mistakes are an opportunity for growth, right? So start with this. When you will allow yourself to make mistakes, you will see others as human too. Because what we do for ourselves when we make mistakes, right? Like we are critical, but then we have some explanation. Like, of course, I yelled because I'm very tired. I'm exhausted. But if your partner yells or makes a mistake, it's not a circumstantial mistake. So he is not yelling or making a mistake because he's tired or he has a bad day. You you don't like label it as a circumstantial mistake. Like for you label it as a character or personality mistake. This is like one of the biggest things that leads to divorce. What we do in relationships, and most people do this, right? Like not only women, men do that too. Like most people in relationships, our mistakes are circumstantial. Their mistakes is it's a trait of character. It's their personality. It's just like who he is. And if you see a person like it's just like who he is, that's like everything that you will see about them. You won't be curious. You won't be open to see other sides of them. So just take this mindset shift, reflect on this. Like, this is my gift to you in this video. One of the gifts I can give you. You are human. You will make mistakes. You have the right to make mistakes. You have the right, like you have the human right. As a human on the planet, you have the right to make mistakes. You don't have to be perfect. Nobody is expecting this one. Just like take this, you have the right to make mistakes. And when your partner makes mistakes, repeat this. He is human. He is allowed to make mistakes. Don't make it mean like, of course he does this, like he's so lazy. He's so unsupportive. He's so not understanding. He's not a good husband. Of course he did this. Don't make it mean as a personality trait or character trait. It is circumstantial. This is actually like, I'm going to go directly into the strategy because this is the strategy. And please do this with me. This is what I do in workshops, but this being a training, like I'm just going to talk to you, but you can stop the video and do this exercise. Like it's very simple way, like just one thing you can do right now. Take one thing that you resent about your husband. Take a simple thing. I'm going to think about something that came up maybe recently for me. I don't think like I did some work on this. Let's say like I resent him because he never makes dinner, right? This is something that comes up a lot. It doesn't come up for me because I leave some space for him to make dinner, but I do make dinner more than him. So let's say I resent my husband that he never makes dinner and he never thinks about me, that I'm tired too. And like I have the right to unwind too, or play with our dog or with our daughter. So let's say I resent him for this, right? And every night or every evening when I make dinner, Instead of like cooking dinner with pleasure and listening to music, as I do now, but it wasn't always like this. I'm frustrated, right? Like very frustrated, resentful, hurt that like he's not supporting me. Like, what is this? Right? Like, it's not fair. We should be partners. We should be do like at least we should be doing this together. Right? Like just very resentful, hateful almost, right? So take one thing you resent, write it down, um, and make sure. So you take one thing you resent, write it down, like write that thing. He never supports me. Let's say like the resentful, like is he never supports me. And next is be sure to separate facts and thoughts, facts and stories about the facts. So factually, right? Like factually, you can say this person cooked dinner 0 times. This is a fact, right? Like there's no charge to it. When we say this person is not supportive, he's not a good husband, he's not a supportive husband, that's already like the story about the fact and it's charged. It produces pain, right? Like I'm in a marriage with somebody who's not supportive. Of course I'm hurt. Of course I feel alone, right? Alone, unsupported, not understood. Maybe even like, what am I, a doormat? Like, is it only me who makes dinner? Right? So separate facts and thoughts. Facts are objective. Everyone would agree with them, right? So everyone would agree, like this person cooked dinner 0 times. It's not, it's nothing. Like it produces, it's neutral, right? Some people would have no problem with it. Other people would have a lot of problems with it. So um, 10 different people being in the same circumstance that their husband never cooks dinner would have maybe 10 different experiences of life, right? So just see this, like separate facts and thoughts. Then question the thoughts. Maybe you heard about this strategy, like asking, is it true that he's not supportive? Well, in a court of law, you can prove factual things. Like you can prove this person cooked 0 times, but you cannot prove this person is not supportive. A lawyer could come up and find you 10 reasons to show that he is actually supportive. He's actually like at least playing with the kids and not putting them in front of the TV. He's going to work and paying most of the bills. He is, I don't know, on his way home, he bought the groceries so you can make dinner. Or he at least washes the dishes after. So a lawyer could find reasons to prove that this person is actually supportive, right? So, like, which side do you want to be on? Do you want to be a lawyer who proves he's not supportive, or do you want to be the lawyer who proves he is supportive? Whatever you will focus on will make, like, will produce the feelings that you're having, the resentment, the hurt, the pain. It's real. Like the pain is real. I know. It sounds like a small thing, right? Like look from the outside. When you're inside, like every day, it keeps happening. It's hurtful. So um you choose your experience of this factual thing. That doesn't mean he won't change. Like you can change him, like, but that's like step number 2. First, you have to clear the resentment, right? And shift your perspective, like, and separate facts and thoughts, separate facts and opinions and interpretations. It seems very no, but it's true. He's not supportive. If you always look at that thing and like you made it in your mind like a label, he's not supportive, your brain will only see the proof that he's not supportive. I know I've been there. I know I've been there. When somebody asked me 10 years ago, like, what do you appreciate about your husband? It was a workshop. I said, like, nothing. I was like watching the others writing and I couldn't write anything. Of course, he was doing a lot of things. Like, I see it now. But when I was in that situation and I had my mind so set on, like, he never does anything or he doesn't support me, I couldn't see anything else. This is a scientific thing with the reticular activating system. Like, when you give it a focus, or a thing like to focus on, it will only see that and gather evidence for that. So what do you want to gather evidence for? That he's supportive or not supportive? Like you can very well prove that he's not supportive and continue hurting and continue building resentment and hate and distancing from him and like him distancing from you and having this wall between you and finally not having physical intimacy and reaching divorce for like it starts small. Divorce is not built in a day like Rome. Divorce comes after a lot of small things that happen repeatedly, a lot of like negative thought patterns, like that keep like eating from the intimacy in the relationship, right? So you think, oh, like either you think like this is too small, we won't get to divorce, or you think like divorce won't happen, like ever happen to us. But at some point you feel so exhausted and you are in your reality, like in your perspectives, like so much that he's not supportive, like I will never be happy. Like you only see that, you make yourself suffer so much. I've done that. I know it sounds like delusional. We are kind of creating our delusion. Like what kind of reality do you want to be in? Like you don't change the facts, you only change how you look at facts, or you gather evidence. Like you fight for what? You fight for your limitation, like you get to keep them. Like if you fight to prove that your husband is a jerk, you will find evidence. If you fight to prove, like every day, like look like a detective, a lawyer, like to prove that your husband is the best husband, you will find reasons. You didn't marry a loser, right? So he has that in him, even if it doesn't look like it right now, he has that in him. So separate fact and thoughts, question thoughts, like, is this true? Is this absolutely true that he's not supportive? What else can be true? Well, like, what else can be true about this situation? Maybe he just like, he doesn't cook because he sees you cooking. Maybe you never asked for help. Not in the sense like starting a fight, like, you never cook, blah, blah, blah. Just like sitting on the couch and saying, I would really want to just relax and not cook dinner. It's as simple as that. It's not saying you should cook dinner, like let him solve it. He can order pizza. He won't order pizza endlessly. Like he can, like he will find a solution. He's a capable adult. If you don't let the space for him to like to solve the problem and you asking for help and you communicating in a way that he hears you and he doesn't feel attacked, it's about you. I'm exhausted. Like I would really like to just sit on the couch. I would really like to just go take a bath and not have to cook dinner, or just I would really love like dinner to appear miraculously. I don't know how. Like, right? Like just make it happen. It's so realizing right now, if you didn't know that it's your thoughts and these opinions, these judgments that make you feel hurt, that make you feel resentment. It's not the factual things. It's your interpretation of those situations, right? And the more you interpret it like that, the more resentful you are. And when you're resentful, again, like the other person feels attacked, they don't have the space to do that thing for you. So the more you actually don't see him like as unsupportive and see him as supportive, the more he will show like he is supportive. The more he will do the things you want. Instead of wasting your time, your precious time and energy, right? And try even like trying to make him understand, like I feel so unsupported and so not understood, and like you waste a lot of time and energy every day maybe trying to make him understand you because you want to feel understood. But wouldn't it be better if the problem would actually got solved even if he doesn't understand you? So um yes, men don't get the point of view of women, especially mothers. We feel so burdened that we have to do everything around the house, even if we're working, and even for breadwinner moms, like they still have the burden of the home, right? Of dinner, of just like knowing about the kids and homework and everything. So instead of wasting so much precious time and energy and mental space trying to make him understand you and trying to prove to him that, like, I'm exhausted, this is not fair, we should talk about this. It's so much talking that leads to nothing. It would be better to clear resentment, like do this one simple exercise, right? That I told you, and then learn how to ask for things in a way that is inspiring for him. You express desires, you ask for help, you express problems. I have a cheat sheet about this. I have a course about this. I will link them down below. So clear resentment, then use your precious time and energy. Like it takes 1% of that time to learn how to speak in a way that inspires your husband to do everything for you. It 1% of like what you are already using, time, energy, mental space, to make him understand, to talk to him. He won't, okay? So it's not a problem. If he doesn't understand you, doesn't mean he won't want to do things for you and make you happy. We're wasting time and energy and mental space on things that don't get us results. Like, do you want to get this solved or not? So it's better to, one, clear resentment, and then learn how to ask for what you want. I made some notes. Let's see what else. It's also a decision. So decide, I'm a person who is emotionally current, meaning I'm living in the present. I'm living in the present. So the past is not important anymore. Of course, like you can reframe the past, like whatever happened, you can reframe it in a way that um, is more empowering to you, right? In a way that you're not the victim, or it's just life happens, life is half positive, half negative, and it's okay. Decide to be emotionally current, and also have a powerful, like, this is like a more long-term solution. Have a powerful vision for the future, and like think about the future so much, about the kind of marriage you want, about the kind of person you want to be, how you want to think, feel, act, speak, walk, talk, dress. Like you think about that so much. That's what you spend your time, precious time and energy on, and mental space, instead of the past. So my future is so important to me. The legacy I'm leaving for my children, for my family, right, is so important. Like I don't have time to think about the past. It's like with foods, right? Like instead of eating junk food and then leaving the salad at the end, you start with the salad. Like you start with the good things, and then they take up so much space, like your future, your desires, your dreams, your goals. They should take up so much space in your life that you don't have time for the past and like mundane small things, right? Like they are so small, they don't deserve your peace. Your peace is a lot more precious. Like don't sell it for small things, like everyday things, right? It happens for everyone. So this is not to make you feel like, oh, it just happens to me. It happens in every marriage. This is how to get out, to be so connected. Like make a decision to be emotionally current, like in the present. If we're talking about the problem, like this is another decision. We only talk about one problem, about this problem, like right now, right today. It's easier when you already cleared resentment from the past, right? Like this past thing, like you do it once and you then it's done. I cleaned my closet, I cleaned my baggage, it's done. I'm looking into the future. I decide to give my very precious time, energy, mental space to my present, to my future, like being present with my kids, with my husband, with my clients, with my work, and like think about my future goals and dreams, and really creating the person I want to be. And the person I want to be is never like never bothered by the past. Like this is a decision. Like I'm not bothered by the past. I didn't clear everything from the past, so I cleared some of the things. But from childhood, let's say, I didn't clear everything from my childhood, or even hurtful things that happened, let's say in high school, right? I don't want to spend, it was a decision. I kind of like surpassed the phase of like clearing resentment, thinking about it, talking about it, Some things I did, but other things, you know what? No, no. Like my time is so precious. My energy is so precious. I don't want to waste it like on anything down the path. Like it's just bye bye. And I do manage to like not think about those things. Sometimes I do have nightmares, that's true, but the nightmares are kind of like a therapy session. And you go through the nightmare. It's important not to wake up, right? Like go through the nightmare. It kind of like clears it up from your mind, from your subconscious mind. Okay. The thing I mentioned that's more very, very powerful, especially if you have strong things like strong resentment. The process I do in one-on-one sessions, like a one long session that we go through everything, like clear the pain, clear like all the resentment, all the past mistakes. You take each thing and there's a process to transform it into gratitude. So being so grateful for like every hard thing that happened to you, like almost crying tears of gratitude. This is from Dr. DeMartini, behavioral expert, and he manages to do things like this, like bring people to tears of gratitude, like people who had loss, like big losses in their family, or their parents kicked them out, and like after 50 years, they're still resentful. And he takes them to this process of clearing the resentment, and like they just cry and see that they wouldn't be where they are if those perceived bad things didn't happen. So everything that we perceive as bad, it's because we don't look at the other side of the coin, like it brought something good. Everything that we perceive as good, we only like we're infatuated with that thing, but we don't see like every good thing also has a negative side. Like everything is kind of like neutral, and it's pure love to loving the good and the bad of it, the yin and yang of it. It's just that's the pure love and neutrality and peace and being grounded. So not super, you don't have to be super excited, but you don't have it to be sad and hurt and either. Okay, so I think I went too much. I wanted it to make a short training, but it happened to be longer. Okay, I thought about having a vision. Yeah, so I think I went through everything. So start with not being critical with yourself, start with not expecting you to be perfect and not expecting others to be perfect. And it's just so much more peace and joy and love of life and love of people when you accept them as they are in that moment with their mistakes, and not make it like a character trait, like a label you put on them. You just make yourself suffer more. Okay, I'll see you in the next training. Bye bye.